Canada presents itself as a nice country because it's like the yin to the United States is yang.
Right.
Racism existed here, slavery existed here, racial segregation existed here.
Yeah.
Segregated schools existed in Canada.
Yeah.
Segregated cemeteries existed in Canada. We're here because it's so subtle, sometimes you don't even get to feel it. But just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it don't exist, because it's when you don't feel it, this is when it becomes the most dangerous.
That's true.
Because this is when, you know, the neighbor that you say hi to every day, he will call the cops on you because the music is too loud. The whole race hierarchy was started by white folks. So if you go to a country that was started by white settlers, why wouldn't it be racist? Canada is definitely one of those countries in Western society that foundationally is racist at its foundation.
When it comes to Black history, two names usually come in mind: Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks. The point is, everything has been heavily based on African American history. Although African American history is extremely important for us to know, the fact that it's the only history we often get to hear highlights the great erasure of Black Canadian history. In this video, I sit down with RJ, and our hope is to start the dialogue regarding the forgotten Black history and experience of Canada. Welcome and welcome back to Ivaintures, and I hope you enjoyed today's video.
I'm here in Montreal with Rito, RJ, and we're gonna talk about basically life here in Montreal for a Black person. Black life in Montreal. I think it's a subject that needs to be explored because you may not be familiar, but the Haitian population is very, very large here in Montreal. So, you know, I wanted to, you know, dig deeper a little bit and see how life is for him. He was actually born here, but his family is from Haiti. So, you know, let's go ahead and get started. So, RJ, born and raised in Canada. Yeah. So, do people usually refer to you as like a Canadian, or would they say like a Black Canadian?
Well, I'm Haitian Canadian.
Haitian Canadian, that's even more interesting.
I'm Haitian Canadian, but I'm Black. You know,
okay.
I'm of African descent. But my parents moved here. They moved to Canada from Haiti in the 70s.
In the 70s?
Yeah.
Wow. So you guys been here for a long time?
A little while now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, but I'm Black Canadian of Haitian descent.
Yeah.
Put it like this.
Nice. Have you been to Haiti?
Yeah, many times.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think about it?
I love it.
Yeah?
I love it. This is why I want to retire one day. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know they speak, you know, French and Creole.
Yeah, Creole. Yeah, Creole. Mostly Creole. A little bit of French, but mostly Creole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say it's a fairly large community here of Haitians?
Yeah.
In Montreal?
Yeah, definitely. It's about 200,000 of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what made you want to do tour to educate people about, you know, Black history here in Montreal?
That's a good question. I feel like, you know, the Black experience in Canada in general is overlooked. And when it comes to Quebec, Montreal, I feel like sometimes, you know, there are certain narratives that people don't get to really understand or hear.
Yeah.
So, you know, I also wanted to, you know, just put it out there that we exist and that, you know, we're a major part of the diaspora. There's a major history of racial discrimination, of segregation, of racism, of slavery as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, very much.
Nice. What is the difference? Would you say that your culture remains very strong here, or do you think that being in Canada, you're losing a little bit of your Haitian ways?
It's very strong in a lot of ways, but it's also, you lose a lot if you look at the whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Because here we also have an ethno-linguistic divide or barrier between, you know, how they, you know, the powers that be or the powers that govern the province of Quebec want to keep French alive. So, you know, we have a lot of major French-speaking population that don't really have the means or access to the vast majority of Anglo world within North America.
Yeah.
So we're kind of cocooned into that as well. But also we get to keep our culture because nowadays in Montreal, especially for the younger folks, most slangs in the day-to-day life come from, you know, Haitian Creole words.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So the way of speaking, the terms that they use, a lot of it came from Haitian Creole. But at the same time, a lot of young Haitians here never been to Haiti.
Yeah.
You know, and also we have a major Caribbean community from all over the Caribbean Actually, the first black people in the 20th centuries came either from the Maritimes, Halifax, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and so on, or from the British Caribbean, or what used to be a British Caribbean, Jamaica, Barbados, Antigua, etc. And as of the 60s, 70s, really, is when you saw the Haitian migration really come into Montreal because of the Duvalier regime.
Yeah.
You know, so Papa Dog, Baby Dog.
Yeah. So in your experience, how would you say the race relations are here? I'm asking this because Canada has a reputation to be a friendly country. People are, Canadians are very nice. And in my experience, I don't think that's true. Like we were talking about earlier, I think...
Why is that?
Because I think, you know... So, for example, depending on where you are in the US, you're going to have a different experience. In New York, people don't care to be nice. Like everybody's on, they talk about the New York minute, everybody's on the run.
On the grind.
People got to go. They're not friendly, and that's typical in major cities.
Yeah.
But when you start going to the South, you know, people are much more real, much
warm.
nicer, and much warmer.
Yeah.
So I actually think Americans in those parts are very friendly. But for some reason, Canada is the country that takes that reputation of being, Canadians are very nice. So do you think that's a fair assessment? What is your experience here?
Good question. Is it a fair assessment to say Canadians are very nice? I think we tend to forget that Canada is a land of settlers.
Yes.
We tend to forget that Canada has never emancipated itself from being a colony.
Yes.
Even though it acts independently since 1929 or 1930.
Yes.
1867 Confederation, but Canada is very much part of the Commonwealth, the British Commonwealth, British Empire.
Right.
And we tend to forget that. So Canada presents itself as a nice country because it's like the yin to the United States' yang.
Right.
But racism existed here, slavery existed here, racial segregation existed here.
Yeah.
Segregated schools existed in Canada.
Yeah.
Segregated cemeteries existed in Canada. So to say that Canada is nicer than the United States, I think for me, I find it's a myth.
Yeah.
Kind of like the culture that we had here in Montreal, breakdancing in the metros, until the police came and raided that. You know, they raided, beat up the kids who are now grown adults who tell about the stories of how, you know, they beat up by the police just for, you know, being loud and dancing in the streets.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, Montreal has a lot of layers in terms of history.
Right.
That, you know, you don't get to see if you come here for bagels and poutine. Of course, you meet nice people everywhere you go.
Right.
This is not the question, but we talk about in general in terms of, you know, being nicer than the Americans. Well, the Americans, you know, they're known as, you know, more raw about how they go about certain things, right? So, you know, as much as you say the nice is warmer, a lot of people would say, but racism is much more, you know, present in the South, which also it's like, you know, it's a bit ironical in that sense.
Right.
But it is what it is. We're here because it's so subtle, sometimes you don't even get to feel it. But just because you don't feel it doesn't mean it don't exist, because it's when you don't feel it, this is when it becomes the most dangerous.
That's true.
Because this is when, you know, the neighbor that you say hi to every day, he will call the cops on you because the music is too loud, but you never know who called the cops on you. You just see the police show up. Next thing you know, now the police knows that this house has about 5 or 6 black people that listen to rap music every day. So it's targeted now.
Yeah.
So now when they drive by your house, they just look around and try to see who's in there.
Yeah.
Okay. But in a lot of ways, I feel like, you know, when it comes to racism, it's definitely a Western problem. And we tend to forget that. The whole race hierarchy was started by white folks. So if you go to a country that was started by white settlers, why wouldn't it be racist?
Right.
And we've had racist laws here that, you know, try to stop black people from immigrating here. We've had racist laws, immigration policies that wanted Europeans only. And we also had policies that wanted black people for specific reasons, wanted them to work specific jobs, you know, domestical jobs, or wanted them to come work in factories. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, Canada is definitely one of those countries in Western society that foundationally is racist at its foundation.
Right.
Of course, you're gonna meet nice people in Canada. That is not the question. But it's a country that has yet to really teach about its own colonial history. It's a country that has yet to even let its citizens be aware that there was once upon a time slavery here. You guys know about African Canadians?
No,
In
not
the
much.
Maritimes, they're the descendants of the enslaved African that fought on the British side in 1776 and also in 1812. So of course it's racist. Why would you not let the people know what you've gone through, what you did in the past? Because you're ashamed of it, but you have to make amends with your past
Right.
if you want to move forward.
That's true. No, that's very true.
We have a drink today.
Well, no, thanks for highlighting that, and I like that. You know, so when you apply for a job in Canada, do you have to identify your race?
Sometimes you do, yeah.
So in the US, they'll often say it's for, you know, just to collect. I don't even know the term.
Quota?
Yeah, you know.
Quota, yeah.
Equal opportunity reason.
Equal opportunity, yeah.
Is it the same here?
Somewhat here. It's a larger scale. I don't know how it is in the US in this day and age, but here it's because you have to understand too, we have an indigenous community, multiple indigenous communities here as well.
Yes.
First Nations. Also, we have a lot of immigration here. Because most of the people who call themselves Souche, so the Quebecois people who call themselves Souche, are a bit older or do not have younger children.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of immigrants from all over the world, but really from Africa,
Yeah.
the Caribbean, Middle East. So sometimes you have to say what you are or what
Right.
you claim. It's
Right.
like, you know, I feel like it's like the streets. Pretty much like you have to claim what set. It's like you have to claim your set.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. And I see interracial dating is fairly common here. Would you say it's generally accepted, or you get the side eyes, the weird looks?
It's generally accepted.
Okay.
Generally accepted. I think it depends on what kind of circles you're in. I think certain circles would definitely look at you in a certain way.
Yeah.
But in general, it's accepted. Montreal is an international city in that sense, so it's not far-fetched to see interracial couples here.
Yeah. And I've been to Quebec City, which is what, 2 hours away from here?
Two and a half.
2.5 roughly. And I can say my experience, despite how beautiful the city is, and no offense to anybody who lives there, I felt like it was quite racist there. It was negative, and I don't like to say that, but I felt like they didn't want us in certain, you know, establishments there. You know, actually we were rejected from a couple of places
So
there.
they let it be known.
Right,
Like you're not welcome here.
that's right. And it's very, you know, it's not. Let's just say it's not my favorite city.
Okay. But you know what's really interesting about what you just said?
What?
Now you know that even if you go back to Quebec City one of these days, you're not gonna go back to those places.
No, no.
Here you might not know it. You might not know it here. Which is, people consider Quebec City to be a bit more racist, but it's also because it's a bit more rooted in French colonialism.
Yes.
You know, French colonialism of North America.
Right.
Right, so the province of Quebec is the cradle of North American and European exploration.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of the ideologies from this province goes back to the colonial days. And that's really what they're trying to hold on to. Subconsciously, a lot of it is subconscious, but at the same time, what's subconscious appears in your day-to-day life. So
Right.
as much as we want to say subconscious, is also who these people are.
That's true. That's true.
Yep. Almost every year there's a black person that dies from police brutality here, and we don't hear about it because Canada is so nice that, oh my God, why would that happen in Canada?
Right.